Can you hear us?
It's working.
Very good. Niels, Mario, Han, Reinhard, nice to see you.
I cannot hear.
Yeah, Mario hasn't launched his camera yet, but we can see that everyone is online. So what we are doing right now, can you see us?
We need to talk to the cameras, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you see us?
Han, you can see us, huh?
Yeah, and can hear you.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we can see you.
And also you can see us as well. Very good. Good to see you again, Han.
Good.
And we have on board, we're waiting for Mario to join. There is Mario. We're in.
Hello, everyone.
Okay. Okay, we need to go. We start.
Маш, а наушники перевод для Елены Борисовны, да? Можешь? Софья, а наушники для перевода принеси кому-нибудь?
Вот они лежат. Где они лежат? Вот они лежат. Кому нужны были, тому я принесла. Кому
Okay, Pavel, we need to start.
Yes,
Shall we ask
yes.
everybody to take seats?
Yes.
Could everybody take seats, please? We're going to start in a minute. Please take your seats. And Jochem, we have a seat over here for you.
Yeah, I
So
recognize
and then we're getting you in. Good.
Dear guests, we are going to start, so please take your seats. Уважаемые гости, мы начинаем мероприятие. Пожалуйста, займите свои места.
Do we need to be on stage or can the cameras see us? We don't need to.
No, cameras can see us, and the cameramen will do their job. Sometimes they zoom in, zoom out.
Very good. Are the students all on board? Are all the students from yesterday on board? Can we see them? A couple of pictures. We can see familiar faces. Hi guys, I can see you. Can you see me?
Yeah, I think you need to show your hand to this side.
Very good to see you all. I'd like to invite
Smiley
everybody
faces.
to sit down.
I'm trying to invite everybody, but it doesn't work. Look at them.
I know. Who's the boss? I know. Okay, we wait for a moment. So, Han, Mario, and Niels, we're waiting for the delegations to take the seats. So, one moment, please. And the same is for the students. One moment, please, until everybody has seats. Irina, could you help her to take seats? And also for. Okay. My guess is we're going to start, Pavel. Right?
Let's do that.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, and I need to say at this moment, good afternoon, good morning, but also good evening, because we also have students from all parts of the world. So they're joining in from different parts, for instance, also from Bolivia, from Europe, from Russia. So therefore, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Everybody here present and online. As you can see, we have also guests online. And it's actually a very nice experiment for us to do it in this way. It's a special session because it's about the final part of Youth Day context.
Thank you, Rob. And you see that we have a really bizarre format. It's a hybrid format. So some of the guests are online and some of the guests are present here. And we want to introduce you the moderators. Can you change the slides, please? You know them already. It's Rob Persma, and me, Pavel Mitylev. Today we will be with you, moderating. And then we really, Rob, let's cut to the chase and...
Yeah, there is one part where a lot of people asked me the question, why is it actually called off tie?
Yeah.
I'm not inviting everybody to take off their tie, but in fact, Han, we need to take off our tie. Here we go, a little bit informal. No.
Rob, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes?
Yeah. You wonder why is he wearing a tie? This morning I was at a symposium with our king of Orange. And if you're visiting the king, then you're wearing a tie in the Netherlands. But I will do it off.
Well, thank you so much, Han, for this. I was thinking that you would wear an orange tie in that case.
It's a kind of orange.
It's a kind of an orange. Very good. Okay. So, it is informal, and I hope, dear guests and also dear speakers, I can address you also in your first name, that I allowed to say Sergei, for instance. It's okay. We are young anyway. And the same is for our other guests as well. Let me first introduce you one of our guests for today, which is Reinhard Oswald. He's the Senior Vice President from ONV. Reinhard, can you say one word or two?
Yeah, hi. It's an honor to be part of this team in the afternoon, and I'm looking forward for it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Han Venema, CEO and Chairman of the Executive Board from Gazuni. Han, hi.
Yes, good morning, good afternoon, Rob and Pavel, and nice being here, although it is in a hybrid form.
Yeah.
I would have preferred to be physically there with you at St. Petersburg.
Thank you. Next year's for sure. And then we have Johan Moritz from Uniper, Vice President Uniper, and he's here, physically present.
Hello everybody, good afternoon. As I'm present in St. Petersburg, I'll just say good afternoon.
Thank you.
So we're going to introduce you to the next panels, and you can see them online. We see over there Mario Meer, and he's the Chairman of the Board and Chief Executive Officer for Wintershall Dea AG. Mario.
Yeah, hello, Pavel, Rob, good to see you again. Good tradition to have this meeting, and welcome greetings to all the participants around the world.
Thank you. And you see the person on the final right for me, which is Niels Masvi. He's from DNV, and he's sitting at the moment in Norway, isn't it, Niels?
Yeah, I'm calling in from Oslo, Norway, and hello, everybody. I'm going to share a little bit, but I'm much more interested to what I'm going to learn and listen today.
Good. Thank you, Rob. And I'm switching to Russian.
Now we are going to ask our distinguished guest, Sergei Khomyakov, Deputy Director of Gazprom, then Yelena Burmistrova, Deputy Chairman of Gazprom Management Committee and Director General of Gazprom Export. Please proceed here for our award ceremony. Distinguished colleagues, participants of the Youth Day contest, ladies and gentlemen, very good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. I'm happy to greet you all from the wonderful city of St. Petersburg. Today we enjoy a beautiful autumn day. I wish you were here because we're used to going up this stage to join our efforts to talk to you together, but I think that this hybrid format is half right, half wrong in a way. Anyway, that's what we have to do with today. It is the 7th time that we have been gathering on this discussion platform. It is exciting because we have with us representatives of the biggest oil and gas companies, representatives of academia, and those who one day will become leaders of global economic, oil and gas, and scientific institutions. These are those young men and women who are trying their efforts in oil and gas, in science. I would say that this stage is perfect for discussions. Today you have the chance to ask questions to our leaders, to heads of companies. Of course, they might be provocative and complicated, and that will make it fun. I'm not going to say anything about the topic about energy transition because I'm not an expert here. I do not know where we are going. Anyway, when it comes to Gazprom, we have been committed to fulfilling our obligations. We deliver and supply gas to all our customers. And at the end of the day, we feel very certain about tomorrow in this complex situation. We're sure about the day tomorrow. So it is my honorable duty to read out the list of winners. You know, it's like a cinema festival. In the course of the year, you have done good job, individually and in groups, in the frame of the Virtual Academy. Today is the time to take stock of what you have done. During all the projects, everyone of you have gained their own points. As a result, the Virtual Academy, as well as the Commission of Business Cases, chose 5 winners 2021, and here they are. I will try to say it right, but in advance, I'm sorry. Vivian Klein, Leipzig University, Germany.
Университет города Лейпциг.
Heinrich Jakob Gross, Leipzig University, Germany. Edita Kalla, Gorod Bochum, Russian University, Germany.
Kunanon
Kongson Asian Technology University, Thailand. Pedro Domingos, Aberdeen University, UK. Pedro, please be more joyful.
Уважаемые победители, поздравляю всех вас с победой.
Dear winners, all the best. Unfortunately, this year I cannot have a handshake, but anyway, as a award, you will have the chance to study in one of the courses of business school, ESMT in Berlin. And at the end, let me express my gratitude to those who are involved in organizing this event. Besides, I wish to all of you successful speeches, successful Q&A, and at the end, let me take off my tie. Thank you, Sergey. Yelena, please proceed on stage to give your speech.
Дорогие друзья,
Dear friends, colleagues, young specialists, and my own colleagues from our partnering companies. It is my great pleasure to see all of you here. Of course, you know, the year 2020 has become so special that without even being physically present here, without any physical handshakes, we still can enjoy our meeting using new technologies. The dynamic development of technologies is something that characterizes all the aspects of our life. It is my pleasure to wish all the best to the winners That is something that they have deserved with their work, with their curiosity. That is something that we need in today's complex and rapidly changing world. Today, I think that colleagues will share my view that the current situation is rather complex when it comes to oil and gas energy markets. We understand that only being witful and curious, we can go to this beautiful and clean future that we wish. And I believe that natural gas is something that has been underestimated so far, and hopefully Europe is going to rethink and restructure its policy, because basically that's the cleanest energy source which can be combined with renewables and play not only the role of a transition product, but also the final product. I believe that many of us are going to invest a lot, to contribute a lot to achieve that. And of course, it is a great pleasure to see you, to see those young faces here, brilliant, bright eyes, because of the last months I used to see rather panicking faces. I received many calls. Yesterday was a big day because we had an energy session with the Russian president, and immediately after his speech, the price went down by 60, down to 60. President confirmed that Gazprom, our company, is that company that has proven to be a reliable partner. We have never violated our obligations, and there are no doubts that we are committed to our work. And I do not envy you, given that the situation today is so much different from what we used to see 20, 30 years ago. That makes it even more exciting to see how we are going to turn around, to find a way out, how this current situation is going to influence on the future. And it is wonderful because you can think out of the box. You have not been framed, and it is a wonderful source of new energy, of new thoughts. So I wish you a fruitful session, fruitful dialogue during this traditional session, and hopefully our colleagues will find answers to your complicated and provocative questions. Wish you a fruitful work today. Thank you, Rob. Then we are about to kick off.
Yeah, I'd just like to repeat in English to congratulate also on behalf of us the 5 winners. They did a great job, and you were actually surprised maybe yesterday about the business game, but you know, with the individual ratings, everything, there are 5 winners. And what they actually did, they won, Pavel.
Yes. Yeah, they won the trip actually to Germany, to ESMT, and they will be studying with our Christoph and Jens, you know them from yesterday, and Uniper will accompany them and will provide all the assistance needed.
Perfect.
So,
what is the agenda for today?
Yeah, let's go with the agenda. So right now we are going to make a little quiz, a small quiz, so students will poll. And then our directors, our CEOs will comment on the polls. And then we are having our speeches and live questions from the students. And for the students, again, please write all your questions in our Telegram chat, so it will be easier for me and for Rob to take your questions live, okay?
Perfect. So we're going to do polling. The students will have a question. Everybody can see the questions, by the way. And the students will rate the questions, and we will ask a very brief comment from each of you in 1 minute. So a comment on the results, right? So let's have the first poll.
Let's invite Johan to the stage, first of all.
Oh, that's
Johan,
true.
please.
And we need to sit next to it, huh?
Yeah, it will be nice. Noah will accompany you.
I will sit on your seat, Pavel.
Yeah, that's good. So let's create confusion.
And the reason why we need to do this is because of people online in the studio, so they can actually see us. The camera is actually recording us. So we cannot stand over there, because then they will see our backs. So that's the reason why. So we can see the students here, we can see the agenda. Let's get the first poll up. And dear students, could you please answer in your poll what you think is the right answer?
So guys, please launch the poll, and we'll see how the students will vote.
And Jochen, maybe you can actually comment the first one on this one, on the answers which will follow.
Yeah, let's wait for the answers.
Let's wait for the answers, and then you can comment. Wow, that's a good score, but that's not all.
No, we'll wait.
Ah, wow.
We have 1 minute for that.
Wow. You can see the results popping in. We had 50 most brilliant students attending this contest, and here are the results. At least nobody is answering number one. "14 out of 20.
Guys, speed up.
Okay, speed up, please. Just a couple of
10
seconds
seconds. Yeah.
Yep.
My eyes.
There's one.
Okay, let's close it.
Let's close this one, and then could you comment on this?
Yeah, well, this is not directly a surprise. No influence would be a surprise for me. So basically, we should, even without analyzing the question and without analyzing the solutions which are given here, I mean, energy companies should prepare for a hydrogen future. The question is not the hydrogen future or not, the question is decarbonization these days. And therefore, hydrogen provides a clear solution which is right in front of the door. The question is, what is the right way to decarbonization? And hydrogen is a part of it. As we heard today in the plenary session, natural gas is more a part of the solution and not a part of the problem. And therefore, I would clearly say it's a question of technology, it's a question of organization, it's a question how the pressure from political framework, from regulation, and from the customers will shape the picture in the market. And we'll provide for solutions. Uniper is a midstream and physical sales company, as well as other companies being present here from the upstream, from the midstream part of the value chain. So that's the way how we together can shape the future with new technology.
Many thanks for your answer. Let's go into poll number 2.
Yes, we have a second question.
The second question is coming in. Wait one moment. We can see only number 1. Can we have...
My button doesn't work.
That's
Good.
the question number 2.
So the question number 2, students can vote. One of the major impacts seen is from activist investors, as well as regulators, customers, and the public, all of whom demand companies to focus on cleaner sources of energy. This is all related to a more important role of the United Nations SDGs. What do you think of the UN SDGs? And we have the polling options right in front of us.
So please, students, can you vote again?
It's a long question.
And we will ask Mario Meren, could you comment on this question when the results are coming in?
I will, in case you share the results with me, because I couldn't see the results of the first question.
Okay.
The technicians, could you share the results
No,
also with the speakers?
when the vote is closed, they will share the results.
Yep?
Yeah.
Okay. So we can actually see that alternative number 4 is highly wanted, high importance, stakeholder action should reshape in energy investments, yep. And somebody is also saying it's a nice trend, but of no importance. And a lot of people are actually saying about alternative number 2, about greenwashing, and nobody is answering this one, the students.
So 10 more seconds.
Okay, we have...
Okay, please close the poll and please share the results of the poll.
Yeah,
Well, it's shifting actually.
Okay. Mario, can you see them now?
Yeah, I can see them. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Could you comment in 1 minute, please?
Yeah, absolutely. I try that. Well, I like, of course, the answers being given here, and I'm not surprised since, as you have rightly said, we have brought together here some of the brightest students in the energy sector. And we as energy companies, we are not living in a vacuum. We have to interact with stakeholders. Stakeholders can have an influence on our business decisions. They have an influence on policies, on regulatory frameworks, and therefore it's absolutely crucial that we embrace the UN SDGs. I personally would have picked answer number 3. I think stakeholder actions are really reshaping energy investments. I would not have gone that far to pick number 4 because the SDGs are so broad that for us as an energy company like Wintershall Dea to really lead all of them seems difficult to me. Many of them are interlinked. So we as Wintershall Dea, for example, are looking, of course, at good places to work, are looking at reliable energy supplies, and of course, the energy transition topic. So we definitely need to embrace them. We need to work them. And therefore, I like very much what our smart students have said here.
Okay, thank you, Mario. Thank you very much. And let's move to the question number 3. Question number 3. Do we need more digital savvy people and less engineers to stay competitive? So guys, please do the voting, and we will ask Reinhard Oswald to comment on that question. So the options that we have, just for the audience, option A, the energy sector will undergo major changes in its portfolio, and therefore new staff with digital skills is needed. Option B, the energy sector will stay more or less the same, and with its focus on hydrocarbon, a lot of engineers will be needed. And option C, the energy sector will need to find new ways for doing business. Diversification of its portfolio is key, and finding new business models to cope with these is essential. A digital savvy engineer is needed. And have you noticed that option C is the most popular one so far?
That's an interesting one, but will you comment from Reinhard Oswald?
Yeah.
You will comment on this?
Yeah, I hope so.
Reinhard, I hope you're ready to comment on this, this result of this question.
Yes.
No results yet?
The results are popping in a moment. We give them a couple more seconds. Come on, students, you are brilliant and smart, so you can move much faster.
Yeah,
vote.
It's already, I think we can close the polling, 25 out of 27. Okay, please show the results.
The results are...
Reinhard, can you see the results?
Yeah, I can see.
Good.
Perfect.
Please.
So answer C seems to be the dominant one. And I think it's very clear. It seems to be the maybe the most complicated to solve, but the most easy to answer question. I think everyone agrees, and Elena said it also in her speech, that the energy business and the energy supplies and so will undergo major changes. We will slowly but steadily have to move from oil and gas to including renewables as well, but not forgetting the very stable and energy security providing oil and gas business, especially the gas business. Now, continuing in the gas business especially does not mean that we will do business as usual, business as in the past. I still remember the times when we had supercomputers, and now with small handhelds, with small iPhones, we can do much more processing than with the supercomputers. So we all need to change. We all need to adjust ourselves. We all need to think big and small at the same time. But we need to become faster and avoid spending time on digging into old reports. I have read myself old well files written in Russia because wells were drilled by the Soviets after the World War here. So we all need to avoid that in order to stay competitive. Electricity is fully connected. Renewables, PV plants, windmills are fully connected. We have connected our production as well, but this needs to become much more faster, much more versatile, and much more adjustable. So we need our normal brains, we need our normal skills, but fully adjustable to digital skills in order to take full advantage of the future and of the processing power that we have at the moment. And of course, I mean, meetings like that would have to be cancelled 10 years ago. Now it's easily possible. That also will help us to survive and to blossom in future.
Thank you so much, Reinhard, for your answer. A very good elaborated answer for this. We go to question number 4.
Yes, question number 4. Will you read it or should I?
Yeah, you can read it.
Okay, so question number 4, we can start polling, so the students will already be submitting their answers. Decarbonization, digitalization, and decentralization are accelerating the countdown to a new energy world faster than expected. Renewable energy technology advances, innovation in storage, and digitization and increased distributed energy generation are accelerating the pace of the global energy transition, with energy-related CO2 emissions of OECD countries close to zero. So
the answer categories, as you can see, popping in here in the audience, we can see what the voting is. It's actually, I like the last one, the no way, but that's nobody is voting. So in the next 5 years, 5 to 10 years, too optimistic, it will be in 2050 significant. And Han Venema, could you, when the results are coming in, could you then comment on the results, please?
So the students are giving their forecasts.
Yep.
And these bright students.
So they did a very good work over the last couple of months in the Virtual Academy. So they are actually very well informed, the students, about the future. They should be. So I'm wondering, Han, if that's the answer too optimistic. Okay, can we show the results?
Yeah. Please stop the polling and share the results.
Can you see it, Han?
Yeah, I can see it. Thank you. Again, answer C is the most popular answer.
Yep.
I'm quite optimistic about the technology developments, and I will come back on that in my speech. But I think the effort ahead of us and the challenge ahead of us is very big. So I would like to talk to the student that answered A. I think it was one student. My own guess would be that it is somewhere between B and C. I think 5 to 10 years. I think the attention on hydrogen would support the answer from 5 to 10, but I think the challenges are too high to give the answer that it will be close to zero. So I think it will be somewhere in the 2040s, 2045 that we could, if we share all our efforts, come close to zero in the OECD countries. And I would like to elaborate on that further in my speech.
Okay. Let's be spontaneous a little. Who answered A among the students? Who was that? Could you give a comment on 30 with 30 seconds briefly? Okay, we can't find it. Okay, nobody answered. Yeah.
It's probably a glitch in the system. Yeah?
Okay.
Okay, let's call it that way.
Or this student is so smart, he or she is going to learn a lot of money on that, and he's the answer for him or herself.
Yeah, on the market, yes, very good. Let's go to question number 5, and the next one. And the next one is about, here we can see the natural gas infrastructure plays a key role in order to reach a net zero future by 2050. And it ensures that natural gas will continue to play a role in the future energy mix. You can see the 3 answers, and the students are asked to fill in the poll. And Niels, could you comment on the results in a moment? Niels is frozen. No.
Oh, no. Niels, can you hear us?
Oh, I'm not frozen, I'm muted.
Yeah.
No, Niels, we're going to ask you to comment on this this question when it comes in. Wait
the resolution,
yeah.
The resolution is a little bit small on my, so I hope you can reread the
Yeah, we will do.
Yep. Okay, students, are you ready?
Not yet. Like 2 more. Okay, 1 more. Yeah.
Okay.
So let's share the results.
Okay, Niels, the answer A was natural gas will be the answer for successful energy transition only as a bridge fuel, and it's answered by 31%. Number 2, which is actually by 65% answered, natural gas and renewables have a long way in our future as major source of energy, far
exceeding to 2050.
Yep, okay, I didn't see the answer. And then number 3 is answered by 1 person, no way, natural gas is just a fossil fuel.
Who are you? I mean...
It's the same guy again.
Okay, if we knew the future, I think we would be investment bankers, you know, and make a lot of money. So this would just be speculation. But I support a majority in this case. I often feel myself in the minority, but in this case I support a majority because there is something fundamental about the energy balance that I think sometimes we miss when we talk about the energy transition and the future. It is that with still, you know, almost 1 billion people not having access to energy, the supply and demand curves for energy carriers, regardless which we're talking about, is going to be important. So if you remove some energy from the energy mix, you will desperately need the alternative. And before the world is completely rich with energy for everybody, we will need all the energy carriers that we can contribute with. That is why I think that renewable sources as well as hydrocarbon sources to balance out and to back that out. I think that is probably the most realistic and stable energy mix in the long term in order to secure a stable energy supply for everybody.
Okay.
So thank you, Niels, for your answer. Let's go into question number 6. And question number 6, we're going to do a little bit different, because when the students are answering, we're going to ask all the speakers here for a very, very brief reflection, and the reflection of each needs to be very, very brief, which means a couple of seconds. And question number 6, let us read out loud. You have the text.
You have a free choice of profession at this moment of time. Where would you most like to work in 5 years? A, with oil and gas company. B, renewables. C, state institution, regulator. And D, startup with focus on innovations. We know that some of these questions, some of the answers intervene, but please try to choose the most close to you.
And we're going to ask Jochen to give his first reflection in a couple of seconds about this. So, because this is actually the future. Where are they going to work, these students? So that's an interesting reflection for them.
I think this one with state institution
That's the one guy again.
Yeah, the one guy.
It is the one guy again. Yep, it's the same. Okay, are they already in?
I think at the end we will understand who it is, actually.
I know who it is. This is one of the winners.
Perhaps, yeah.
Okay, we have, I think everything is in then. Yep, so let's close the poll, and then Joachim, can you reflect on this? What do you think of this?
Well, basically, I would again go for the oil and gas company again, even these days. So I was entering the industry almost 30 years ago, and I just took a look. Well, let's see how interesting that is. And I can only say these 30 years have been very exciting, no boring times, so many changes and challenges. I would go this challenges again today.
Okay, thank you.
I love the answer. And Mario, can you give a short reflection on this?
Sure. Congratulations to those who have picked the oil and gas industry. I think this is the place to be if you really want to have an impact on the energy transition. And welcome to those who have picked the startup company. Come all join Wintershall. We are as innovative as an energy company as a startup. So looking forward to the candidates who have picked and answered both questions.
Thank you.
This is a kind of a pitch, wasn't it, Mario, for everybody to join? Yeah, very
like
good.
Yesterday. Reinhard, can you please comment on the question briefly?
Yeah, also very simple for me. I fell in love with the oil and gas industry years ago. I'm still in love with it, and even more now because I would like to work in an oil and gas company that takes full advantage of the new opportunities that the renewable business offers. So I would like to work in an oil and gas company that is using renewables to produce oil and gas CO2 free. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Han? Could you please?
I have a different answer. I would go for renewables. At that moment in time, in 5 years' time, I would have more than 35 years of experience in oil and gas. And I think these are very urgently needed in the renewables business. But I would, after 35 years, I wouldn't mind starting in another type of business closely related to oil and gas and take my experience into account.
Thank you very much, Han. It was unexpected, actually, answer from you. Niels, could you please?
I don't want to say what I would like to do, but I think it was very interesting to see how balanced it was. Other than not many people aiming for the bureaucracy, I think it was very interesting to see the very, very nice balance. And for HR people, I think that is nice to see that the motivations and the career choices are going in parallel decisions.
Oh, thank you very much, Niels, for your answer. Pavel, now with this brief introduction, we're going into the next session. And the next session is about, ladies and gentlemen, all the students, online, offline, here in the room. We're going to have a couple of presentations, and the students will have possibility to ask questions. So 5 minutes for each executive to address one of the topics. Here you can see what is going to be addressed. And then we will have about 5 minutes for some selected questions we will receive from the students over the chat group we have with them.
Yes.
So,
and again, please write your questions in our Telegram chat, because otherwise we don't have access to Zoom, just for repeating. Johan?
Yeah.
You are the first one.
Well, I'm about to speak on decentralization and new business models. So basically, the question is for me again, what we are aiming for. And I guess we are aiming for the new integrated energy world at this very moment. And that means also hydrogen is of a very important position in that game at the moment. So what are the challenges? What is driving this process? And this is basically environmental activism. We have, as we saw yesterday and today, a large price volatility. Nobody knows really where that comes from. Energy markets obviously need stability. And a counterposition to that is globalization, commodity flows. We have a worldwide integrated energy system, and that is increasingly driven by flows into Asia, into Europe, LNG versus pipeline gas, and on top we have this challenge of decarbonization. What do the people need? What does the markets need? What does the stakeholders and the players need on the market? Basically, it's security of supply, it's sustainability, it's transparency of the market, and it's also the way to a decarbonized net zero world. We, as Uniper, we have taken the way and have chosen for decarbonization. We have a clear decarbonization path. We closed down coal-fired power plants within the next years to come, stepwise, and simultaneously we try to get net zero in power generation until 35. The need for that is more integration of the energy world, more renewables contributing to power supply, but also a stable supply as a backbone on fossil fuels, and that could be then hydrogen or even natural gas on that way. What is the need for the customers? The customers mainly are addressed with industry, for example. They have a special purpose for their energy need. Some of them are technology focused, very energy intensive use of energy in their processes, and that cannot be changed very quickly. So this is a challenge for the customers as well as for us as a company, and that is also a driver for a new business model, basically. So we try to be a good example in that way. From the one hand, we are part of this legacy landscape coming from the old world, doing 70 years business in the energy industry. But we want to drive this road, we want to drive into the future, and therefore we seek the proximity to our customers to support them with solutions to drive and change our organization structure. And of course, that will need more tiny processes, a more decentralized structure of systems to be used in that integrated energy world in the future. So, what is, in a nutshell, basically a strong, globally diversified, flexible portfolio, which is in our optimization portfolio of the business. We have different commodities, different energies contributing to clean and safe power supply. And we use our centralized and decentralized trading capabilities for the European market, for the North American and Asian markets, including innovation. So we have been driving, for example, LNG for trucks projects under our brand name Liquis in Germany, in France, and the neighboring countries. This is just one example to reduce emissions, to come to a more cleaner energy world, and to end up in a clean and decarbonized future. So finally, what drives us to this future in the long-term cooperation we, for example, have in the gas business. So we run our import contracts from Russia, for example, for more than 5 decades, and we thrive with our producers together with our customers and us in the midstream section, just to end up in a clean product that is still suitable for the market and its future needs to be supplied and accepted by all stakeholders. So I hope the time is met.
It's perfectly on time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Pavel is taking up the questions, eh?
Yes. I see some questions and a lot of people actually writing but not posting the questions. So
we have the clock.
Yes, and we have the clock. Please
reset?
launch it. Because everyone wants to be on time. 5 minutes.
Clock reset on 5 minutes?
Yeah. Good. So, Johannes, one of our winners, could you please ask your question live?
Sure. And it's kind of also related to my last project that I had in the Energy Challenge, where it's the question, I'm pretty sure energy transition is leading to higher energy costs, at least that's what we're seeing at the moment in Europe. So will the customers themselves will have to adapt their business models, or will all the burden by the energy transition be carried by the energy companies and kind of also by the oil and gas sector? Or will this also be a problem of the customer at the end, like of the private consumer?
Thank you, Johannes.
Yeah, so saying a customer, you probably mean the customer who finally burns the fuel or who finally consumes electricity. So I would already also consider the customers in between of the value chain. So in the wholesale market segment, for example, it's in Germany, we have CityWorks, we have regional distributors who also have a role in the value chain and who also contribute in shaping the market and providing value. And finally, the end customer needs the value. but it's also a matter of incentives and alternatives. And as we see these days, high price volatility, I mean, what the customer likes to have is reliability, and this is reliability in technology, in sustainability, and as well in pricing, I guess.
Thank you. And we have another question from Nitish Kini. Good question. Can you please also ask it live? You're muted, Nitish. Yeah, we can hear you.
No.
It's not you. Okay.
No.
I will ask this question. Natural gas has a greater global warming potential than CO2. What does the gas industry have to say about this while supporting the argument of bridging fuel?
This is a good question, and this is touching a point which we are dealing with very intensively, especially these days. So Uniper as a company has brought out a new strategy in the direction of decarbonization, and that is also covering emissions. And we consider also upstream and downstream emissions as very important, so the discussion on the Scope 3, Scope 4 emissions. And we are working on assessing what emissions are part of the value chain. So actually, you refer to methane emissions, you can calculate a CO2 equivalent to that, and that is obviously something we have to take into account and we have to evaluate. When selling our product, we want to kind of certify is what kind of product is that transparently. So you can, as a customer, finally judge whether this is a good or better product.
Okay, thank you. And our last question from Rodrigo. Rodrigo, can you join online?
Sure, thank you, Pavel. Well, my question is that outside Europe and the United States, coal still dominates the energy production. So what do you think should be the steps to be followed by emerging and developing countries to accelerate the energy transition?
So to accelerate the energy transition, I mean, it's I like the final question we had here in the poll, which needs many skills of different sectors. So combining the classical technology in oil and gas industry, improving that with avoiding methane leakage, for example, avoiding CO2 emissions in the value chain, combining that with renewables and combining that with new approaches, thinking out of the box and bringing new ideas into the play. So it's a crystal ball question. If we would know that right now, we would not be sitting here. And finally, I guess it's a combination of new ideas and technological development for the future.
Thank you. Thank you, Johan. A lot of tough, like many tough questions, I would say. So thank you for answering all of them, and students, thank you for asking. And I also want to remind that other CEOs are also allowed to step in if you want to comment or add something relevant to the discussion. So I would say, Rob, let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on to Mario Miron, and he's going to talk about low carbon economics and climate agenda. Mario, are you ready?
Absolutely, thank you. And let me more talk about the climate agenda and start with making the statement that we as Wintershall Dea fully support the European climate targets for 2050 and the targets set by the Paris Agreement. And I think we as a company and as an industry can contribute a lot to achieve these climate targets, in particular, and I will talk about that a little longer, with our product gas. What we also need to take care for is what Niels has mentioned. There are still hundreds of millions of people who have no access currently to energy. So it's on the one hand side an agenda about energy transition, but it's on the other hand side also about an agenda to bring those people who don't have access to energy in a reliable form and in a clean form into our world of ways of wealth and sufficient energy. I firmly believe that to achieve these agenda targets, we need to work jointly. We cannot finger point from industry to politics, from research to industry. We need to work together also with the consumers, because we need to be open. And then one of the students just made that question. We need to behave differently. We need to accept and create acceptance for higher energy prices in the future. So what can we do as Wintershall Dea in that game? Firstly, we have set ourselves what I would consider to be ambitious targets regarding our scope 1 and 2 emissions, which are supposed to be net zero by 2030. And when I say that for all our equity production and not only for the operated activities that we are having. We are also saying that gas is going to be an important pillar of this energy climate agenda. Firstly, we need it now to phase out coal. We have seen very nice effects in Germany, in Europe in 2020 when gas was phasing out actually coal. Now, with the very high gas prices, we see the opposite again, that coal is creeping up again, and that is everything but good for the energy transition. So the first part gas is doing is mid and short term to phase coal out of the equation of power generation. The second one is about hydrogen. And then this has become really a buzzword within Germany and Europe and most likely everywhere in the world. There, I really have a request to politicians around the world. Let us be technology open. Let us not fall into that color doctrine of having green hydrogen, having turquoise hydrogen, having blue hydrogen. Let us talk about carbon-free hydrogen. If we want to achieve our climate targets and at the same time want to remain industrialized as Europe, and in my case, in my country as Germany, then we will need a very fast ramp up of a hydrogen market. And that can only be achieved and accomplished if we take all sources of hydrogen that are available to us. If we only rely on green hydrogen, then that's what all researchers, scientists say, we are not going to make it, because it costs too much money now to invest in a hydrogen-ready steel production facility or in a new cement production facility if you don't have a reliable source of hydrogen. So we need to clarify all these things. And therefore, again, my request, my plea to politicians around the world, be technology open. Let us not pretend that we have today, technology-wise, all the answers to the problems we are facing in 2040 and 2050. We also did not have the answers to all the problems we are facing today 40 years ago. So let's be very, very open. And we of Wintershall, as Wintershall Dea, also want to contribute, of course, to Scope 3 emissions reduction. Therefore, we are heavily investing in CCS projects. We are very convinced that we will not meet our agenda targets if we don't offer solutions that allow to capture and store CCS, something that is positively seen in, for example, Han Venema's country in the Netherlands, which is very complicated in my country in Germany. And we need solutions there because there will be residual emissions that cannot be avoided, and we need to find a way how to deal with them. I also think that there is a big opportunity in producing turquoise hydrogen, so using methane pyrolysis to meet our agenda targets and create a low carbonized economy in Western Europe. Therefore, we are also investing there in, for example, pilot production of turquoise hydrogen in Eastern Germany. We are investing in companies that are exploring these kind of technologies and providing these kind of technologies. So I think the agenda can be met if we take it as a joint effort, the entire society, all stakeholders, and if we are technology open and don't pretend to have all the answers now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mario. Thank you very much. We have several questions. First, Dia. Dia, please go on.
Okay, thanks. I was asking about regarding the cold winter which is expected, and if we want to make this question like a general one. Like if, for example, in some cases happen, like we needed, for example, coal or fossil fuel we needed them. So what will the case, or what will the energy companies do regarding this? Like, if in that case we will just return to fossil fuel usage to produce energy, or we will stick to like decarbonization strategies?
I think, and I'm convinced, we have to stick to decarbonization strategy, but we have to make it affordable for everyone. And therefore, again, I'm saying we need to be technology open. There will countries that for decades to come will need to use coal, whether we like it or not, and definitely also natural gas. And therefore, as I just said, I think we need to advance in technology like CCS, also CCUS. That's extremely important if we really want to meet our targets. We are sometimes arguing in this energy transition pathway or agenda from a very European focus. And Europe is a relatively rich continent, and not every country can follow us on that very dogmatic approach towards renewables. So I think we need to be much more open again there to achieve targets and not fall back into old behaviors.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dia, for asking this question. Thank you, Mario, for answering. We have the next question from one of our winners, from Edita. Edita, could you please ask your question online?
Yes, sure. I hope you can hear me. Yep. Yes? Okay. During this time of energy crisis, I've heard a lot of energy experts that have emphasized the necessity to reevaluate the contribution of nuclear energy in achieving net zero emissions by 2050, especially in developing countries. How much do you agree with this statement of them?
Well, you know, I'm located in Germany, where the government has decided to go out of of nuclear energy and rather buy it from France, because we feel more comfortable in doing so and more protected. So in Germany, it's a very emotional debate. I personally think we have to look into all sources of clean energy in order to really mitigate climate change and manage that crisis. And also in the field of nuclear will be new developments. And I can just repeat myself, let us be technology open. Potentially there are solutions with regards to nuclear power that might be applicable and helpful. And actually there are a number of now smaller size these days nuclear power plants being built. So it's also part of the reality. We cannot just say because we don't want it in Germany, it doesn't exist. It exists in many places around the earth.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, that's why I emphasize the developing countries, because I know I live also in Germany. I know that is a sensitive thing. So
yeah, and it will be needed and continue to be needed in many of the developing countries. And you can even argue if it made a lot of sense in Germany to, from an emissions reduction perspective, to first phase out of nuclear and then phase out of coal. This is now water under the bridge. It just shows that you are easily taking the wrong decisions if you're just acting on basis of emotions and not on the basis of fact. What is the best to reduce emissions?
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. So next, the last question is from Valervis. Can you please ask your questions yourself? Valerie?
Yeah? Valervis, huh?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah, my question is based
Nobody's replying. Ah, here. Yes.
Can I continue?
Go ahead.
Okay. My question is based on human resources, that's employment, and because nowadays for you to get a job, you always ask for experience of either a year or 2 or 3, but those experiences we are not given, like we don't have time to practice, you are not employed in a company. So how do you get experience to work in a company if that same company cannot employ you like for a stage, like for even like for a month or 2 or 6 months.
Okay.
That is a very important point that you're addressing. Thank you very much. And again, the moderators are going to play me for pitch again, but my company is offering that. We are offering internships. We are having what we call a start-in training program where young professionals coming from university go through a 2-year program with the different parts of the program taking place in different countries, in different activities level, to exactly make possible what you are describing, provide them some first-hand experience, really on the job. And now stopping to make here just marketing for Wintershall Dea. There are many companies out there who do very much the same, maybe not as nicely as Wintershall Dea does, but this is something we are offering as an industry because we are very eager to get young talents like you into our teams because you bring the fresh, the bright ideas. You challenge us on a daily basis in order to get better and really embrace also the big challenge of energy transition. So reach out to us.
Excuse me, what company is that?
Wintershall Dea. I think you can Google it. Yeah.
I didn't get you, please.
So we will get you the details.
Yeah,
by the way, Uniper is also in competition.
You actually worked for on the strategies of these companies for like the whole August.
So write a letter to Mario Meren or to Uniper or any company. And Mario was absolutely right. Of course, there are more opportunities. But thank you so much for your question.
Thank you, Valerie. Yeah, and
Valerie?
we are moving forward. Rob?
We're going into the next session, and that's actually about digitalization. And it's an interesting topic for our industry. Reinhard Oswald will address this in his 5-minute pitch. Reinhard, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, here we go, the clock is ticking.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon from Austria, Dobry dzień to St. Petersburg. Digital change is inevitable and it's all around us, yeah? There is a continuous and accelerating digital transformation of our society. We all use digital in our private life, sometimes even more than in professional life. This brings challenges of pace, intensity, and complexity. It's relentless, but it's also exciting, especially in a data-intensive and globally strategic industry such as the energy industry. Since I first joined OMV, the digital transformation has been spectacular. We did use computers, although they were large mainframes. For example, in the early 80s, our industry used Cray supercomputers with 80 megahertz processing power. This is much less than the first iPhone could do for private users. We need stronger and stronger computer capacities to create our 3-dimensional models in order to simulate the oil and gas production from our reservoirs. Nodal analysis models need to run in order to optimize the processing and the distribution of our reliable energy. This is done at an asset, country, regional, and global scale. We need to link the underground to the above ground technical models together with a financial system and call it then a full digital twin. So at the end of a development, we don't only deliver physical plans, but also digital twins in order to model and play with them. These complex iterations are then tracked by machine learning to help us make better decisions about investment, production, and other important topics. In my role in OMV, I'm accountable for production of oil, gas, underground gas storage, and also a bit of renewable electricity globally for OMV. Almost all the production equipment, and that's new in the last decade, is now connected digitally, the so-called Internet of Things. My colleagues and I can remotely monitor and supervise globally production performance. Immediate analysis can be done basically and literally one click away. That does not remove the need for highly trained people to be employed in each of the countries in which we operate. But routine tasks are now digitalized, and our staff and highly skilled young graduates can work on higher value and more stimulating activities. We need staff that embrace the digital analytics, who also appreciate the meaning of data. But common sense, teamwork, imagination, creativity remain critical and important skills as well. We should not forget that. We use artificial intelligence across a range of different areas: image, video recognition, gas leak detection, fracture analysis, core image analysis, cuttings detection, and analysis of time series. We are doing extensive trials with robotics as well, succeeding partly, but also failing, which is an essential part of innovation. There is no progress without change, and having employees with the openness for constant change is one of the biggest assets nowadays. I started my career in the laboratory and at the rig site, and so I am passionate about how digital can be used to make the tasks of our staff on site safer and more effective. Now, most of our workers are holding a handheld in their fingers when they go to the rig site or to the plants and work on SAP, on maintenance schedules, on the handheld. On our plant sites, the workers wear hard hats, and each hard hat has its own unique code. When the hat is read by the system, the screen on the wall brings up the relevant drawings, instructions, and risk assessments for their work that day. This is especially helpful during turnarounds. In this way, the colleagues receive information packs that match their needs and are fully up to date, better and safer. So, is artificial intelligence, blockchain, etc. disrupting our industry? Yes, absolutely. But do we need to hire tech-savvy staff as well? Yes, absolutely. But do we need less engineers? I believe no. All of our staff, all of our engineers, geologists, human resources, legal, finance, etc., all need to be digitally literate. It's just an additional skill. So, how to stay competitive in an emergent digital paradigm? This is just as relevant for organizations like OMV as it is for you as you start your careers. That is why we have invested as OMV in a global digital upstream program called DigitUp, in order to ensure that OMV is a frontrunner in its use of digital technologies. This includes a strong upskilling and very, very important, a retraining of all of our staff, including, very, very important, all of our seniors. A huge success has been our reverse monitoring program, where younger, more digitally savvy staff spends time with our senior colleagues, and everybody can learn from each other. You are really graduating at an exciting time. Even compared to 5 years ago, digital technology has blossomed. What was once rather specialized, nerdy stuff done by someone in another department has now become mainstream and a very, very critical skill. You have shown by being on this youth forum that you have the energy and passion and intellect to succeed. Let me conclude by wishing you every success in your careers ahead. Udachi, Bolshoi, Spasiba za vнимание.
Thank you. Thank you, Reinhard. We have several questions. So, Asama, can you ask your question briefly? Live.
Hello, everybody. I'm very interested to see how you address something full of controversial issues like transition and green energy. Digitalization is a new emerging field. How can companies recognize the decision related to this new emerging field? A lot of engineers now are skilled, and when they want to be part of the companies, they find some hurdles, like the language barrier, for example. They have some requirements. Many companies now have a lot of requirements. For example, yesterday I was talking with some engineers, and they said I couldn't attach myself to that company because they need German language, that company because they need Russian language. So how can we overcome some barriers that make engineers be integrated part of these projects? This is the first question. The second question, in summary, is these decisions the company make. Who make these decisions? Do you share the engineers, or do you make it by your own? We need to know these decisions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Asama.
Okay, so if I understood the first question right, it's about language. So in OMV, it's very simple, and I think it's with most of the companies, the business language is English. So wherever you come from, whether you come from South America, from Asia, or from Germany, when you work in OMV, you have to talk English. So it's relatively simple then to integrate into the company. And the second question I did not really understand. Can you focus it a little bit?
The second question is when making a decision on something new like digitalization, on something that is sometimes controversial. I just need to know what is your process on making that decision in a company level? Do you just make it in the administrative level, or do you incorporate engineers to make it more based on scientific knowledge? I just need to know what's your process in this, because we can at least share as engineers. When we know how you make decisions, we can know how to influence some decisions. Thank you very much.
Okay, so that's quite easy to answer. OMV is very open in this respect. So, of course, we accept top-down decisions from top management and then need to digest it and integrate it into day-to-day operations, like new projects or going into renewables or not. But there is also a need for bottoms-up proposals. There's a lot of asking for great ideas from all ranks, and then such ideas also make it to strategy, actually. So we come from both ways, from top down, but also from bottoms up.
Thank you, Reinhard. The next question is from Giovanna. Giovanna, can you please ask it?
Yes, thank you.
Yourself.
So, as OMV, as an energy company, so which departments were the hardest to, digitalize? Which departments were hardest to digitalize, and which ones were easiest to digitalize? Did you encounter any serious problems within these processes?
Yeah, very good question that keeps us busy every day. So I would like to start with the fact that we have lots of analog data, and in order to get the analog data, like old reports, fully digitalized, in order to make it available on the tip of a finger, this was quite cumbersome, because it's also the most unsexy work. It is just a lot of hard work to get old analog data digitalized. The second most complicated thing was to align all the engineers, all the geologists on one or two software packages, which means we have and still have to take away beloved software packages that people were working for 10 years or 15 or whatever years, and now it needs to be streamlined and it needs to be exchangeable on a global scale. So taking away beloved software packages is difficult. And then the third most difficult thing is to get digital really into the operators arena. Was difficult, but now they love it. All of our operators and workers, they love their tablets.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, and I will actually ask one more last question, like the very last question, because I think brief, yes, it's not my question, but Pedro asked it, and I think it's very relevant for all the students that are there. For example, how OMV will adapt its training path for current and new employees with non-IT backgrounds?
That is a surprising one, actually, because I have very seldom run across young people now that do not know more and have not more IT skills than myself. If we run into such situations, we would give them training courses like we do with all the other skills that needs to be uplifted and upgraded. So, but on IT skills, I am not nervous.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So let's move on.
Yeah, let's move to the next presentation and speaker, which is Han Venema. He's going to talk about the energy transition. Han, can I ask you a personal question? Did you spoke with the King of the Netherlands about the energy transition this morning?
I did not speak with him today, but it is, I think, very important that he was visiting this seminar, this congress, and the name of the congress was Wind Meets Gas. And I think it started this congress in 2015. So it illustrates, I think, very well the discussions that we have, that wind and gas go together very well. I would like to start my speech with something, the vote we had earlier, and that was the vote on what is your desired working environment, your desired sector. And we saw in the polling that state organizations, regulators, legislations, governments were not very popular. And I think that is a pity. It is also very, very important that we have very bright people working in these sectors. And to illustrate that, I come back in my own history, and I'm going back to 2008. I then just joined the board of an energy supply company, and we were faced with a potential investment decision to invest in a large offshore wind farm in the Netherlands. And it was actually the second wind farm project in the Netherlands. The first one made a lot of loss. And we were confronted, are we going to enter into this development, yes or no? And at that moment in time, the subsidy for developing a wind farm was I think around 12 euro cents per kilowatt hour. And the total subsidy that we would receive if we would start the final investment decision or take the final investment decision was around 4 billion euros. And it was a very tough decision. Was it wise to do that? It was a lot of subsidy. If the people would find out, the citizens of the Netherlands who were spending or receiving 4 billion euros along the entire period of this wind farm, what would they say? And we were discussing, are these windmills propelled by wind, or are they propelled by subsidies? Actually, after cumbersome discussions, we took the investment decision and we developed this wind farm. But to be honest, I was very hesitant. But I was also very young at that moment in time. If you now see the last 2-3 years, the wind farms, offshore wind farms that have been developed in Europe, I think most of them went without subsidies. So I think it was very wise of the policymakers to grant these kind of huge subsidies. And maybe my hesitance, I was wrong and they were right. And we now have in Europe a starkly or a fast increasing share of electricity from wind farms in our energy mix. Another example on this is the solar panels. I think the German government, and I say the German government, but I think the German citizens have spent a huge amount of money in subsidizing the solar panels in Germany. Huge amounts, but in a way, they created a sharp cost decrease of these solar panels, and also they stimulated the technical developments, and the efficiency of the solar panels went up. And I think now solar panels are all over Europe and all over the world. And we're not talking, when we're talking about hydrogen, we're talking about solar panels in the Middle East or in South America, developing green electricity being converted into hydrogen and shipped towards other areas. So these are examples of the fast development of technology and the steep driving down of the cost. And I believe that technology developments are very important for the challenges that we have ahead, and that it is really going fast. Maybe another example, not from our sector, but the reason that I'm here and you're sitting in St. Petersburg, Corona, we were faced by Corona, and I think normally developing vaccines takes more or less 10 years. Now, there was an urgent need. There was a lot of money. We're spending a lot of money on keeping businesses alive. And the development of the vaccines didn't take 10 years, but took less than 1 year. I know it close by because my brother was busy with the development of these vaccines. And we always agree to have a good dinner at Christmas time. And he was not able to join the dinner last year because he was busy with developing the vaccines. So if I look to the huge energy system challenges that we are confronted with, I think first it is the climate and the ecology challenge. But second, and I think Niels was already pointing out to that, the huge growth in the energy demand in the developing countries, and then also the problem of the energy poverty. And if I talk about energy poverty, and you talk about the high prices of the last days, that's also one of the problems that we are focused on. So we have a big challenge for our society. And I think that first needs a lot of technology development and speeding up and innovation, but it also requires a lot of cooperation. And we were talking about the big oil and gas companies. And I think the big oil and gas companies bring in these three challenges their skills to execute complex technical projects. And we need them also in the energy transition and the renewables industry. We need them to find new, cheap forms of new gas fields, oil fields, probably more gas fields than oil fields, and no coal mines, I would say. But they also need to share their skills to reduce our methane emissions in our value chain. We also need the universities and the applied universities for their R&D and for their training of their students. We need the NGOs. Sometimes they're called a pain in the ass, to put it not so very diplomatic. But in another way, they're pushing our boundaries. They are pushing us to do a better job than we did yesterday. And I think that helps us in further improving our performance. And we need a government. I think the example that I just mentioned shows that policies on legislation, on regulations, on financial incentive schemes are very, very important to give incentives to our companies to develop new things. And last, but maybe most important, we need people like you, like the students that we're talking about now, talking with today. We need your ingenuity, your dedication, your cooperation not only within your country, but with other students in other countries. That is really required. So I think that were my 2 points. First, I have a big trust in technology development and innovation. And second, we need, for these huge challenges in our energy system, we need cooperation between companies, between institutions, between countries. My last words to the students are a famous word used by the University of Applied Sciences in the Netherlands, and it's their payoff. And I'm jealous on this beautiful payoff. The payoff they use is, dear students, share your talent and move the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Han. Thank you very much. To speed up, we have a question from Maxim Grigoriev. Yeah, so unmute yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to ask a question. So I personally believe that that the gas will play a much bigger role in the future of the energy industry. And do you believe that there will be gas-based OPEC? And are there any barriers for it to appear? Thank you.
Thank you.
Maxime, thank you very much for this good question. Yes, I think gas will play a big role in the future. I think the future for coal is not so bright. I think the future for oil is also decreasing, and I think the future for natural gas will be very important. But the role for even greener gases will increase quite a bit. But we can make, for example, hydrogen using pyrolysis or carbon capture and storage. We can use natural gas to create hydrogen without CO2 emissions. So I think that is very, very important. Then your question with respect to is there a gas spec coming? And Maxime, maybe you can clarify it a little bit. Do you mean a kind of OPEC, but then for gas, for natural gas?
Yep, I mean it.
Yeah. I'm not so sure that I would favor that. And I'm not so sure that I favor the OPEC. I think that is a kind of created monopoly, and I have a big trust in the functioning of markets, and I think there should be fair competition. And so, no, I don't like I'm not sure that the agreements that the oil companies or the oil countries agree with them altogether is very good for our society. And so I quite like some competition between gas-producing countries. So I would not favor a gas spec, but you never know whether countries join forces and create a gas spec. That has been done by OPEC.
Thank you for your honest answer.
Thank you very much. Then we have a question from Irad, but Irad disappeared. Or is he online? Okay. So, wait. What currently, in terms of money, is the most profitable energy source? And what will be the most profitable in the next 5 years? So he chose you for this question.
No. I think natural gas, whether it's profitable or not, I think at the current prices, I guess it is very, very profitable for the natural gas producers. That is illustrated that I think there have been rough times, and what I understood now is that many gas fields in the North Sea are now for sale. So I think these companies use the situation of the very high gas prices to sell off some of their assets. So I think if I go to the fossil fuels, I think natural gas would be my preference. Will it be the same in 5 years' time? I think it's very hard to predict prices. I think nobody had expected that the TTF price in Europe would spike till €1.60 per cubic meter the last week. So if you are very good in explaining gas prices and telling them what the future gas price will be, then I think you should not go work with an oil major. You should not go in renewables, but you should become a trader.
Thank you very much, Han. Thank you. So let's move.
Yeah, let's move on. Let's move on because, you know, after 4 presentations, I can imagine that the students are still full of the other questions, and now we're going to talk about the future. And Niels Andreas Masby is going to address the future of HR, but it's actually talking about the future of staff and the future of personnel and the future of people in our business. Isn't it correct, Niels, that you want to address it from that broader perspective?
Yeah, I was given the challenge to talk about the future of HR and how to avoid the talent shortage. And I'm not an HR person myself, but I have been a line manager for many years, and I know that to have resources is always something you think about. So our industry is also a cyclic industry. So there is a price cycle, and the price cycle sometimes translates into also a resource cycle. So from the management's point of view, you keep awake at night, either thinking about, I don't have enough guys working with my unit, or other times I have too many guys working in my unit. And for you as an alumni or a student, you maybe lay awake at night thinking, will I get a job? And if the cycle is against you, then it looks dark. If the cycle is with you, you have many opportunities. So in the long term, this balances out. And I would just like to share some thoughts about how I think the HR talent search in our industry could be a little bit ironed out and a little bit more stable, so we don't get these hiccups and challenges. And I think there are four things that we could focus on in order to make sure that there is enough talent to the energy industry. And I would like just to address them briefly, because not only oil and gas, but obviously wind and solar, they will also require energy resources. So there is a real fight for talent in the future. So the first item I think we should agree upon is that science and science teaching and science subjects in our education should be taught well at all levels of our educational system. I see a little bit different tax on this in different countries. So I think we should avoid pushing out science from the curricula and replacing them with like political whims of the day. I see that in many countries. They want to put a lot of subjects into the curriculum, and the science could sometimes suffer. So to keep a strong science element in our educational system is important for our industry. The second point is a little bit more controversial, but I would claim that the digitalization drive in our industry now may drive away some important management levels. We see a tendency that in the interest of economic efficiency and top management data control, important management levels like what I call the surgeons and the lieutenants, and they are squeezed out. And in a competence-intensive industry like ours, and where innovation and cooperation are crucial, denying young talent the comfort and stimulation of good colleagues and a caring manager that sees you, that could backfire. So don't we need the young talents, ideas, and energy? Absolutely. But even young colleagues, they need guidance, stability, and mentoring to thrive and to innovate. My third point is to keep two thoughts in our heads simultaneously, because as an industry, we need to accommodate now both the HR drive for new energies and for traditional energies. We should not put all HR bags in one basket. So therefore, you students, you should rest assured that there is a career in our industry, whether you are interested in renewables or with hydrocarbons. And as employers, we accordingly need to accommodate parallel talent pools inside our companies. Both should be nurtured, cared for, and mentored. Finally, number 4, there is an international side of our industry, and the more flexible and mobile our staff are, the better resources can be employed across countries where the need is the greatest. For that to happen, language skills are decisive. So historically, it has been mentioned already, English has been our industry's technical lingua franca around the world, and it will still be. There are, however, in my view, 3 other languages which will remain significant in energy production areas and where there is strong domestic industrial competence base. That is Chinese, Russian, and Portuguese. And you might understand why I mentioned Russian and Chinese, but why Portuguese? Well, in Brazil, Angola, and Mozambique, they are all energy-rich areas, and the Portuguese language keeps a strong position in the energy industry. So commanding one or more of these 4 languages will make your competence more attractive worldwide. So in summary, if science and languages are taught in schools, hands-on care and management takes place in our companies, and no technological competence is step-modelly treated inside our companies, then I'm sure that we as an industry will be able to face the competition for talent also in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Niels. So, the first question is from Ioana. Ioana, could you please ask it yourself?
Mm-hmm. Yes, so technically I have 2 questions, but this is directly for Niels. So how do you consolidate your HR strategies within the overall business objectives? How do you, if you can elaborate it more on that?
Personally, I don't consolidate the HR strategies, and sometimes I think the HR strategy is not something that is easily fixed once for all from the very top of big companies, because in the big companies you have so many different operations markets, and as I mentioned in my presentation, if you don't have the sergeants and lieutenants who actually know the war, know the situation on the ground, it is difficult to do this. So my impression is that in most companies, sizable companies, there is some kind of a mix. There is a hybrid model where you have some overall strategies and principles from the top, but that you still put a lot of empowerment and leeway to the operational unit so that they can accommodate their HR needs on a level that is closer to the operation.
Thank you.
And the second part of the question is basically I was going to ask all of the experts for advice for us young people as we are starting a new segment of our career within the energy sector. If you could give us advice, so what should we be paying attention to, and I don't know, any kind of.
Pavel, I think that's a good question for everybody.
Yeah, she's stealing our job, actually, because
she's taking over our job. But Niels first, and then we go.
Yeah, I can
everybody.
go first.
Okay.
When I interview people, I can tell you the most important thing I look for is attitude. And what I mean by attitude, it is a balanced self-respect, that you have a realistic view about what you can accomplish and not. So I'm always nervous about people who claim that they can do everything. And I'm also nervous about people who are so timid that they don't dare to do anything on their own. So people who have a sound self-confidence, knowing their skills and knowing their strengths, at the same time being honest about how far does that stretch? What is the scope of my competence? I think that is the most convincing way you can present yourself to an employer, in my view.
Thank you, Niels. Let's go to Mario, because I think it's just, from all the screens of the stage over here, Mario, you're sitting next to Niels. So could you give a comment to...
Very, very briefly, I would say be yourself, be curious, and show clearly what you're passionate and interested for. I think this is most important if you want to work somewhere and be successful. That you show really your future employer what your heart burns for. That's what always impresses me.
Okay, thank you. And then Jochen?
Well, it's difficult to add something more. As Mario said, be yourself, be honest, and attitude. And on top of that, from my side, being at the other side of the table, I would kindly advise that we see a fit for your future position with yourself, with your knowledge, with your personality, and with your culture. So to have fun on our side and your side.
Thank you, Joachim. Han, any comment you want to give? What is the Gasunie looking for?
Now, maybe I want to give the students another angle. I think all companies, and I have worked for 4 or 5 companies, have a different culture, have different values, have different principles. And I would advise the students to go look for a company that fits with you yourself, to find a place where you can be yourself, what agrees with your own principles and values. I think that is the best place to work for you.
Okay, thank you, Han. And Reinhard, finally?
Yeah, the advice that I give almost every fresh graduate at the beginning is please make use of the first 3 years and try to see the stuff that we are dealing with and that afterwards need to be managed out of the office by you and yourself. Try to see it in situ, try to see it in the operations. Yeah, go and spend time on the drilling rigs, go and spend time in the production fields, go and get practical experience. Later on, it's too late, you don't have time anymore. Therefore, I also advise them to learn one profession at the beginning of the career properly. So become a good drilling engineer, become a good production engineer, and do not, or whatever, a good solar panel engineer, a good wind farm engineer. Know your profession very well so that you always can relate to this profession, and then broaden and become general manager. Not too early, because otherwise you can be burned very easily.
Thank you, Reinhard. So we are closely going to the end of the meeting. Before the end, we will ask our Rector Igor Anatolievich Maximtsev, Rector of St. Petersburg State University of Economics, one of the organizers of this event, to speak. It's better to take my place because in this case everybody will see you. So, лучше сюда сесть тогда, чтобы...
Добрый день.
Good afternoon, distinguished members of the Youth Day Forum today. In the frame of the 10th anniversary St. Petersburg International Gas Forum, we had a fruitful discussion. I know that your path to these important meetings because of this day was long and hard. You worked within the virtual academia that we created especially for you, and today I would like to congratulate all the winners and express my sincerest gratitude to all the organizers and all the participants of today's wonderful discussion. You got answers from the mouth of the best experts. So dare, move on. Many beautiful things are waiting there for you. It is wonderful to see you here, and I believe that directors will be happy to see you among the members of their companies, among the staff. So do the best to make our world a better place.
This one is also working. So, thank you everyone for joining our session, and especially repeating Igor Anatolievich Maximtsev, our speakers. Thank you for joining. Thank you for supporting the event, and again, thank you for supporting the project. Without us, it wouldn't be possible. And of course, we invite you to. Yeah.
Could we say thank you on behalf of the students as well?
Yes. I'm telling you, it's.
So. Okay, I can see Johannes is clapping. Very good, Johannes. Okay, so thank you, Niels. Thank you, Mario. Thank you, Jochen. Sorry.
So many changes.
Han, thank you so much. And Reinhard as well. Thank you so much for your contribution today. And of course, Rector Igor, thank you so much as well.
I am blaming your age, you know.
Yeah, it's my age. It's, you know, because it's my hair. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. But what we're going to do finally, we're going to take a picture, isn't it?
Yeah, let's do that. I don't know how to do actually. It's
we're going to take a couple of pictures with everybody in this room. And my suggestion is to join the students in the over there, so that the students going to be in front of the picture. And sorry for Mario, Niels, and Han and Reinhard that you cannot join, but I would like to invite everybody to stand in front of that. Sorry? They can do a window for, you can put the window. Can you put the window for speakers in there? Okay, shall we do? Over here, and but the students.
In front of the students?
Yeah.
Actually,
let's do, because then they are also on the screen.
Will be there as
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, can we get the speakers over here, and the students, and a picture? Everybody's invited.
New challenge for our...
So guys, we're going to have a new experiment again. You can see everybody's coming towards you. So you couldn't join us. Yeah. Oh yeah, okay. So dear students, You couldn't join us, but we're going to join you. So, in front of the screen, cameras, can you show the screen for the students how we are standing over there? And then we're going to make a group picture with you. Okay. Here we go.
Мы увидим директоров там или нет? Нет?
Okay. And for those who are still on screen, Mario, Niels, Han, we're standing in front of the big screen where all the pictures are of the students. Are we in here? Everybody ready? Okay. Can we see? Fine. Okay. Group pictures, group photo, smile. Is the screen included?
No, that's the problem I told you about.
Okay.
Okay, so we made a group picture. I know it's bizarre in this new world. Again, Niels, Mario, Han, Reinhard, thank you very much. Johan, somewhere here. Thank you very much again, and I hope to see you next year. Maybe in person. It will be wonderful if you could do that in person.
You're talking to the screens. You need
Yeah,
to
I
talk to
know,
the
but
cameras.
it's like they understand it at least, you know. Like, okay.
Okay. Hey guys. See you
Bye,
next
thank
year.
you.
See you next year live. All the best. And all the
best,
students
bye.
as well. All the best. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Thanks a lot to everyone.
Thanks a lot. Everybody.
Hope see you next year.
Мы
Thank
всё
you,
равно
it was a
фото
wonderful
вышлем потом,
experience.
если что, вдруг там. Будем фотошопить маски. Хороший стартап.
Они работали большую